Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Adolescence is the age of change. Whether we're talking about my generation, your generation, or today's generation, adolescence is a vulnerable time when kids can develop unhealthy habits that grow into larger problems in adulthood. So today we're going to learn about a program with a proven track record of preventing substance abuse and other behavioral problems in our youth, and at the same time help strengthen parenting skills. Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin reports on the Prosper program.
At the Linden Town School, Prosper is a priority.
We were very interested in a program that would bring incoming sixth graders and their parents together to talk about how to strengthen those families to be able to have a successful navigation of the sometimes troubling adolescent years.
Amy Gale is the principal at Linden Town School, which has participated in Prosper since it started in Vermont in 2012.
What's relevant to every family, no matter what your socioeconomic status, is how do we help our kids be successful? And the challenges that parents go through when their kids start to go into adolescence and middle school.
The name Prosper is an acronym. It stands for Promoting School, Community, University Partnerships to Enhance Resilience. University of Vermont Extension provides the university side of the partnership to the schools involved.
Isn't that stealing?
Across the Fence first visited a Prosper program in action at Camel's Hump Middle School in Richmond in 2014.
These are helpful.
5 years later, that program is still going strong.
One of the most amazing parts of it is the one-on-one time that you get with that child.
Bronwyn McEwen and her family have gone through Prosper with her oldest child. The tips she took away also work well with her younger kids.
A lot of it is common sense, but you need to be reminded of these things, and just to have this card in front of you that reminds you, this is what I do in this situation to help myself and my child through this is just, it's so helpful and amazing. And I just can't say enough about the program. I loved it.
The sixth grade students who participate learn about communication to help navigate peer pressure and develop good decision-making skills. At the same time, their parents and guardians are learning different ways to communicate with and support them.
Keeping that open line of communication, that non-judgmental, that non-argumentative, the communicating without anger, cooling off, letting your child speak and trying to understand where they're coming from and validating their feelings. But then it goes deeper into things like learning responsibility and independence and consequences, and setting limits. And I think the tagline is love and limits, and it really is how to set limits for your children and help them with their responsibility and their independence, and but also encouraging them and talking to them and validating them, and just plain loving them and spending time with them. All these important things that we sort of forget in our busy everyday lives that kind of gets away from us.
I really like how we can understand more and do something fun with our parents instead of home hanging out on our devices and not be with our family, but we should.
Mochi participated in Prosper here at Camel's Hump. She learned a lot about communication with her family, and she gained skills to help herself as well as peers who might be having a hard time.
I kind of learned how to help a friends make them feel better, and how to like communicate and understanding when someone needs to have time alone or sad. So I kind of learn from them, and I learn a message how to know when people are not doing something right, but like say it in a good way instead of like forcing them like, oh, you have to do this in like aggressive way, or you don't want to do this, but just saying, oh, it's not okay to do it. So like I learned how to like give it like tones and expressions and like understanding them.
Good help, Savannah. Nice. That kind of supportive openness for dialogue between a parent and child cannot be anything but great.
Ellen Rowe is one of the coordinators of Prosper at UVM.
Hey, do me a favor, Josh. You know,
One of the program's most important aspects is that it is evidence-based.
Good job, guys.
That means that if the program is presented to participants in the way it was developed, certain results are guaranteed. With Prosper, those results include increasing resistance to peer pressure and reducing early drinking and drug use.
I got some new pink sneakers.
The Prosper model, that's evidence-based, uses a community team. We have representatives from the hospital, we have representatives from mental health, from public health, a strong support from the school. And so a lot of the teachers are facilitators for that family program.
Since its start, the program has expanded to include schools around the state, many of which have received grants and funding to get the program up and running. But that money won't last forever.
Well, the issue is that it's a evidence-based delivery system for evidence-based programs. And evidence-based programs are not inexpensive to deliver.
While that cost may be high, so is the potential payoff.
So we continue to grow, and we've now been able to show that for every 100 kids in the community, you reduce the likelihood of opioid use by 13 kids, which is a huge savings for the community.
Dr. Daniel Perkins was part of the team at Penn State that developed Prosper. He came to Vermont recently to help educators and community members think about funding solutions and strategies to keep Prosper going in their towns.
So in Pennsylvania, some of our communities have done amazing things. One of our communities, it's a small rural town, they literally have a community-wide garage sale where they raise the money, something like $20,000, $25,000, and that will fund the Prosper work for a year. Another community has worked with Children and Youth Services, and they provide funding and continually now for 10 years. So lots of different ways it happens, and what I think is really important that you start the conversation early and you think about what are the costs we have to have and where can we not have costs but continue the program.
For Gail, making sure the program remains funded is a priority.
We have a dollar figure that we think it's $350 to support a family through that 7-week process. And so we do fundraising, we do go out to businesses and community people and ask if they would be willing to sponsor a family. I put some of that in my school budget, so there's a percentage of that we do support through the school budget. There are like organizations like local businesses that are restaurants that we sometimes get food donations.
For these participants, the effort is worth it.
There's almost no excuse to not be able to do it. It is a time commitment of 8 weeks, but you have free childcare. You get a free meal for your family every Monday that you go, and then you get that special one-on-one time and all of these tools to use to foster this relationship and this communication with your child as they're going through a rougher period of middle school in their life.
I like enjoying it, like hanging out with other people and getting to know, well, there's also a teacher who helps us, and we learns about them and learns other grades of whom not are hang out with, and so we got to learn other grades people's what they do or what they like and about them. So I really kind of enjoy meeting new people there, that I don't usually hang out with.
It's a program aimed at giving students and their families the tools they need to navigate a notoriously tough time in their lives and prosper together. In Richmond, I'm I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
You can choose another one and then review the steps
Thank you
again.
so much, Rebecca. Great program. Joining me now is State Director of the UVM Extension 4-H Family Programs, Sarah Klieman.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. So as we just saw, there are a number of aspects to this program. How do you describe this Prosper?
That's great, thank you. Technically, it's an evidence-based partnership model that facilitates the delivery of evidence-based programs. In layman's terms, it's more about a collective of programs that build strong families and help youth avoid risky behaviors. So there's a community team that we learned about in the video that we just saw, and that community team comes together to make decisions about which programs we should be running in the school. Then there's a family program that's delivered to 5th and 6th grade families. We hope to reach about 20% of a school's population in that family program, and then it's followed up with 7th graders, where we, through the school health program, we deliver a health-based education to all 7th graders.
Fantastic. And how is it different from other prevention programs?
Sure. I think what really makes Prosper stand out is the team approach and the fact that it's not just about delivery of programs, but there's a lot of attention to facilitating a strong community team. Typically, Prosper programs last a whole lot longer than community-based prevention programs where it's focused on just delivering a family program. We conduct evaluation, we make sure that the team is functioning well, that everybody feels like they have a role to play and are contributing, and assess that on an annual basis, and then take strides to make adjustments as necessary. And so again, that sustains the whole model a lot longer.
Fantastic, and it seems like it's certainly working, making a difference. It's evidence-based, but what are you seeing here in Vermont in those 3 communities?
That's great. We are seeing change. We know that 100% of the participants in our programs are learning new skills. We have seen some change in the Youth Risk Behavior Survey that gets conducted every other year through the Vermont Department of Health, where we can't claim that Prosper is the reason why, but we believe that we're helping to make a difference in that some of the risky behaviors we're seeing a decline in. It's a scary time right now too, because we know that Vermont has a high use of marijuana, and perception of it is not that scary, and so we're working on that.
Important program, and to learn more about Prosper, you can call the 4-H state office at toll-free at 1-800-571-0668, or check the website uvm.edu/extension/youth. Sarah Klieman, the State Director of UVM Extension 4-H Family Programs, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Talking about it. And thank you for joining us. Across the Fence, I'm Fran Stoddard.